Hello everyone, I'm going to do my review slash first impression slash what the fuck is rest in peace Total Biscuit of Tekken. To be clear, I played this game for 66 hours. I tried it once it first came out. It crashed 3 times in 2 minutes, so I gave up on it. It also had no sample combos and all things, but a lot of things has changed since then. I think the game came out in arcades 5 years ago, and Season Pass 3 has just started. And they added some new things. So I thought I'd give the game another look. I've been playing it on stream and off stream. I've been watching a lot of videos about it. And yeah, just gonna be me going through what I think about the game. Let's get this out of the way. Some people's feelings will be hurt. I do not hate the game. I think the game is great, but not for everyone. That's basically the TLDR. If all you're in is for the first knee-jerk reaction, that's what it is. That's my generalizing statement. That probably will be the title. Before I go through any of the subjective stuff, let's start by doing the more objective things. I've been running the game at 1440p. It runs pretty well. I have a 1070. But yeah, the game runs okay. It does drop FPS. You can see it up in the corner. Sometimes sound options, control settings, button mapping, all these things is standard. You can customize kind of how the UI looks as well a little bit with some customization options. So there's 45 characters, I think, 46. There's a lot of characters. I have all of them but Elisa, because you have to buy separately. Yeah, so I've been playing Kazumi, the basic character who I specifically picked to get an early start in the game, and Kazuya. I feel like I've gotten a pretty good handle on the game so far. Let's do this stage because that's the best song. I played ranked. I think I have like 300 wins or so maybe like 500, 600 matches in ranked. Some in player matches, not too much offline though, and I'll get into why later. This is just my rap sheet, I think I'm currently Savior. Highest rank I was Gembu, which I think is pretty good for 1 week. I think I reached Gembu at 175 wins or something like that. And just to be clear, I pick Kazumi and because I didn't want to cheese. I kind of want to learn the basic Tekken fundamentals. Like I got some offers to be coached, but I specifically said no because I wanted to learn the game how an average person would learn it. Maybe I learned a little bit faster because I played a lot of fighting games. But of course, if you get personally coached, the experience will be very different. Yeah, Gembu is pretty middle of the road in terms of player base. I think it's top 20% or something. Other competitive players, most people are probably, far above Gembu, but there's definitely a lot of people in Gembu that still go to tournaments and lower, of course. Yeah, obviously, the average Tekken player has played the game for very, very long, and the game has largely remained the same, although there has been change from game to game, of course. So getting to the middle or even, even low level of that kind of player base, I consider myself pretty good, No, I am not the best Tekken player. I know some combos, I know some setups. I've talked with some people. So for some of this review slash first impressions, I will be referring to them and their opinions. Now, for example, the story, right? There's a cool intro cutscene when you start up the game. I played a little bit of the story the first time and I was hilariously bored 5 minutes in. And from basically every single person I've talked to, they say that the story mode in this game is not good, aka not worth buying the game for. If you're looking for single player stuff, this is not the game. Now, there are sample combos, but many of these are not the best sample combo. They're not even that well explained. They don't say delay. They don't necessarily state exactly how well. It's a worse trial combo system than Tekken. Than SF5. Which is a pretty fucking low bar, honestly. But they recently added this, so it's still very good to have, right? Like you can get a feel for a character pretty quickly at least. But I would advise you to, if you're learning a character, you're gonna have to look to YouTube. And that's gonna be a general theme, right? There's no tutorial in this game whatsoever, and we'll get to that, but it is what I consider the biggest flaw of the Tekken experience. Now, something new they added is punishment training. Now, this you can put on. Tekken is a lot about punishing things on block. And you can learn how to punish things. And you can have them mix up between others. This is a great thing. Sadly, this does not have enough moves. My first match was playing a Psycho plays Shaheen. And I didn't know the punish was dive kick. Sliding kick. And Shaheen's punishment training does not have it. Now you can get around this by using record function, but it's pretty annoying for a new player, especially because you might not know how to perform the move. And if you look at the move list, well, there's a fucking lot of them, and they, you know, knowing exactly how is very hard. And now Kazumi is even a character with few moves at a measly 65 moves. Now, to basically start with Tekken, right? Like, it's a 3D game. This means a lot of things. It means you can sidestep, it means you can backdash, forward dash. You can sidewalk as well. This is what I'm doing right now. And to do the moves, it's kind of different than if you're coming straight out of Street Fighter, for example. Like, there's down back moves, there's back light, you have left punch, right punch, left kick, right punch, and then you have combinations to like grabs and shit like that. If you ever play Tekken, you probably know this. I was pretty fresh to it, honestly, and just getting used to doing the different moves, since there's usually one move per button in every direction, like down forward one, down, hold the down one, hold down one, then let go, and then one, which is called while rising, but while standing in the community. Yeah, it's pretty convoluted. The thing is, Tekken has a lot of moves, and it's probably the most divisive thing, I would say. 45-ish characters, and most of them have all the way from 60, 70, like Kazumi, to King, who I think has like 200 moves or something. And you definitely don't use all of these moves, but you do use a lot of them. Now, the reason why it has so many moves is basically because throughout Tekken, they've mostly added moves through each generation, and most of these moves that are in were in Tekken 5, Tekken 6, you know, Tekken Tag 2. What does that mean? Well, it means that, yeah, 179. It's insane. And apparently there's some moves that are not even on here. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that it's very, very advantageous to have played the previous Tekken games. So if you're coming in as a newbie, you have 45 characters to all learn, and you have, you know, at least 50 moves per character, right? Now, some of these characters won't use many of them. Kazumi is actually a character that uses very few moves per match, but the more moves you know, the better. And something for me that's been troubling me is when I play a Horang or when I play someone, it can be very, very hard for me to recognize, is this move plus? Is this move minus? Because most of them are kicks, right? Same thing for Steve. Like, he has a billion different punches because he only punches, right? This is one of my main problems with the game, essentially. I'm not a huge fan of how it visually shows off what it does, right? Because Tekken is a game where knowing the frame advantage on hit, on block, on counter hit, all these things is absolutely essential. You cannot, and I mean you cannot, get around this game while not knowing frame data. You don't need to know the specifics for every move, but you do need to know, like, the first thing when you watch a video on how to learn a character, right? They're gonna tell you Kazumi's 10 frame punish is her jab. Her 11 frame punish is something else. I don't think she has one, actually. Her 12 frame punish is 1+2. Her 13 frame is down forward. Her 15 is up kick. Her 18 is forward 3 into 2. And then she has like uppercuts like 21. And this move is 20. Like, and then you also have to learn your crouching moves, where this one's 11 frames. And you do need to know that that one, 1, 2, is 12, because the moves will be minus 12 sometimes. Oftentimes they'll also be minus 11. And this is where a lot of the difficulty in learning Tekken essentially comes in. You need to know, is this move minus 12? Well, he could have done this one, right? Is it minus, all right, 14? Well, he could have done a different punish. Knowing this is absolutely essential to play Tekken at the top level. Now, early on, you can get away with just using jab for every punish, but the problem is that if you're not doing maximum damage on your punishes, the damage output will be very, very different. So just this comparison, right? If I only know that the move is minus 10 or 12. So jab, 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 which is, you know, pretty good 10 frame punish, 25 damage. Now, the proper punish for a 12 frame move that's minus 12, like this one, or, well, you actually can't do that on that one, but yeah, is this one, which is 30 damage. Now, sometimes a move will just be out of range so that the jab won't hit, like this, but the 1-2 will hit. You need to know that. You absolutely need to know that. I don't even know if this is max damage, but if you do a good combo instead, so you know that move is minus 18, you can do it like this. Oops, I suck. Right, which does 69 damage. It's obviously like over double the damage because you knew a move was 6 more frames laggy, right? Now, this is not even optimal. Yeah, you can do even more, but the main problem is it's not really that doing the combos are hard. A lot of characters actually have easy combos, even good ones, like Kazumi. Kazumi is a really good character, but she has very easy combos, right? For the most part. There's some depth in the combos. Most of it comes from how close to the wall you are. And there are characters such as the Mishimas and Lei, I think he's called, who are very, very hard execution-wise too. But it's absolutely not necessary to be a top-tier player to learn difficult combos. I would say the biggest difficulty in Tekken is learning the amount of moves and learning how to punish things. Not only do you need to block things, right? And some moves like this one, you can duck the second part. If they duck, they get a full punish, launch punish as it's called. But if they, don't duck and just hold back, like most people do, it's -1, right? So it's basically safe. I would say the main problem with this is that a lot of moves look similar. To me, this punch that she does is not obviously crouchable. To me, right? I'm a new player, I played a lot of my games, but to me, this is not obviously crouchable. Instead, I will do another string that's punishable regardless, right? This is -13. And this one's a mid, so this one you cannot crouch. It's not that intuitive to me to see that this string is not crouchable and that string isn't. And then you have the mix-up where you do that string, which punishes people trying to crouch. This is the difficulty with Tekken. You need to know every character's main strings. You need to know where they end, you need to know where it starts. And not only on block. Not only do you need to know it on block, and you need to know on crouching block. Because this move, right? If you block it standing, it actually forces you into crouch. At least I'm pretty sure. See how he's crouching here? So if he presses jab, he will get crouch jab instead of standing jab, which means that you can essentially you're actually better than -1. And a lot of the time when I fight someone, they'll do a long ass string, and then at the end of it, I'll be crouching and I'll do jab jab 1, and I'll just get this one. And there's a lot of moves that are, for example, like high then mid, low then high, and just if you're new to Tekken, essentially you mostly stand block in Tekken, whereas in regular fighting you mostly crouch block, and lows are the risky slow ones that don't give much punish, just like how an overhead or a mid would do that in Street Fighter. So that's a very good beginner tip. Don't start stand blocking. Something that took me a long time to realize was that you actually don't even need to hold back to block. The game, maybe it does tell you, but I did not get the message at the very least that if you hold nothing, the game will make you block standing always. You don't have to hold back to block. Legitimately, I did not understand this for like 4 days. Now, you wouldn't always do that. You should hold back most of the time. But the fact that you can let the stick go and still block things made me very confused for a while. And again, this is the main problem. There's a lot of moves and that the game doesn't tell you. Those two combined cause a lot of frustration for me. They're then coupled with the worst thing, which is online, which we'll get to create a very frustrating experience a lot of the time. Again, you don't only need to know how things are on block and if they force you crouching, if they push you far away. You need to know if they have armor. You need to know the difference instantly between that punch on block and that punch. That one is punishable, right? And that one is very safe. This one is forward and then 2, which is the yellow button, as you can see, this button. And the other one is triple forward, so while you're already running, 2. So it can be very confusing. And one of them has armor and the other one doesn't. Now, the problem I have essentially is that it takes a very long time to get into the type of game where both people know the answer to most things. This is very, very subjective, and I hope people understand that. Some people love this kind of that. I would consider it complexity rather than depth. You can watch a video that I'll link in the description where TheMainManSWE talks about this concept. But essentially, I don't really consider it that fun to try to whiff punish this normal, only to find out that it has that string. Because you can cancel everything on whiff, right? That's not that fun for me. Now, some people love that kind of improvement, and I think I can understand why. When you have that many moves, you can get very instant gratification, right? You get hit by this move, right? How the fuck do I deal with this? This leads to Oki, does a lot of damage, 45 damage from a poke. It's safe on block, basically plus because it forces them to crouch. Now, if you know, you can just duck here, right? Guard all, okay. There we go, yeah. A lot of people love this type of improvement. They see a move, they go into training mode, and they find it out. Now, I would say that the problem I have with this is that I just don't enjoy it, you know? That's basically my problem. It's a shallow one, but I don't consider it very fun to have a ton of moves. Most moves have a glaring weakness, but there's so many moves and they're so hard to tell apart sometimes that it's very, very hard to get into the kind of gameplay where both people are fully playing the game. At top level, every single player will know that this string is crouchable. Now you get into the mind game. Can you hit confirm it with one? Or will you mix it up with this one that punishes crouching? That's awesome. But there's also a lot of moves that simply are just pure gimmicks. This thing, for example, right? From fly, you can do low, which is very punishable. Or you can do high, which is safe and plus even. Then you also have this move that's unblockable. And then you also have that move, which crouching, wall bounces, so a lot of damage. And you have that move, which does some other things. This move that hits people lying on the ground. And then finally, how do you do this? Yeah, we have an unbreakable grab. And I didn't even understand that this was unbreakable the first time I did it. I don't really know what it is. Maybe it's the effect after. And this even wall splats in the corner, so you get a lot of damage from it, right? Look at his life bar. That absolutely can decide matches. Now, of course, there's still some mix-ups. It's still a legit stance, right? But once you know the trick, you can make the mix-up significantly worse. When you really only look out for this one and that one and maybe the high. But for a new player, how the fuck should he know that grab wall splats? And there's so many of these stances and these specific moves that are extremely hard to know, and these strings that are extremely hard. This is a low. Let's put him here. This move avoids highs, then hits low. It's -3, but then you can also do a follow-up, the combos, and then you can do the third low. But this one, they can actually block the second one, right? Unless it's counter hit. But a lot of people will get caught by this because they don't know, right? And there's no combo counter in game, so sometimes it's very hard to know if something comboed or if you just blocked the wrong way or you were a little bit slow. Add online to this and it becomes very, very hard to know. Now for grabs, you have to break grabs differently, right? This you break with a 1 or a 2. The back grab you break with a 2 or a 1, and then you have command grabs, which uses both hands. That's the only thing. And the command grabs can basically be broken in different ways. Kazumi's you need to break with 1+2. Dragunov and King and others have command grabs that break differently. And basically the answer is you gotta die and you gotta Google it, and then you gotta look it up. You can't in any way, shape, or form know how to beat most of these things the first time. It's a game that 100% just rewards you taking time and playing the game for 15 years straight. Some people love that. I personally think the game could do a lot better of a job telling you things and a lot better of a job explaining. It doesn't need to necessarily tell you, oh, how do you block it now? But once you've already gotten hit, what's the damage in saying this was a 1+2 break? What's the damage in after you're already done saying That was a 2 break. Instead, what you can use is a bot called Tekken bot, which I use, which puts a neat overlay up. Now, the problem I have with this bot is that it only shows the last 3 moves, and it's very hard to react to in time, right? So let's say you get hit by this move. As of now, the move, if I look right now, it doesn't even say, the move anymore. It says run 3, 4, 2, DF1. So I no longer know if this is safe or not, because it doesn't keep up more than 3 moves. Now maybe there's a way to change this, but I googled and I could not find a reason why. What basically this means is you gotta Google, you gotta YouTube, you gotta Google a fuckload, right? Basically, I improve pretty quick in this game, right? What I would do for every single character, for every single time, is you gotta fucking Google. You open it up, you Google how to tech kings grab Tekken 7. Then you have to read a full guide, and now you will beat this character like 50% more. That's legitimately how the game works. The game has a lot, and I mean a lot of shortcuts. People try to tell you, you just gotta grind it out. If you want to improve quickly, do not try to grind it out. Google it out, okay? How do you sidestep versus Leroy? You Google it. There's a season 2 guide. That's old. So you gotta find someone up, sidestep Leroy, and you go and you read up. I hear sidestep was a lot, but he's up for the safe orbital tracks that way. This is how you get good, okay? And of course, fundamentals, movement, execution, all those things also matter. But the unique thing about Tekken is that Google and having someone teach you is far more helpful than just playing. If you want to get good at this game, that is something you have to realize and you have to accept. Now, if you don't want to get good at this game, fuck it, bro. Just mash. No one gives a shit, right? Stay bad, just mash. Tekken can actually be pretty fun to just mash. But I will say that learning this game without a personal coach, or at least a very, very supportive teacher / community, is not fun for me. I think I could probably get a coach, and I'm lucky in that sense, but I simply do not really enjoy the fact that I have to get one if I want to learn things. This, of course, coaches and Googling stuff, of course it helps in other games too, but I would say the necessity of it is very, very high in Tekken compared to most games. Now, the problem is also that things change a lot. So when you Google things like sidestep guide, this is something I had up all the time, right? Because if you don't know which way to move. You don't know how to play. The problem here is that you go into this guide, and since the game is constantly being updated, a lot of these things is outdated. You have Akuma. Akuma has good homing, so sidestep is not always safe. Then you have some characters that you need to sidestep and crouch. Some characters that in general you sidestep right against Robin. I mean Bob, not Robin, what the fuck. And then at mid-range you sidestep left. But a lot of these things, people will know intuitively if they have been playing for a long time, right? And some characters have some moves that track right, and some moves that track left. And sidestepping is different on both sides. If you try to sidestep out of crouch, you can only sidestep upwards. But if you're on the other side, you can only sidestep this way. And so depending on which side, you're actually better / worse against different characters based on which side you are on the opponent. It's all very, very complicated. Kazumi's down forward, this one, is actually better when you're on this side because you can't step it because it forces you crouching, or at least it used to do. I don't know if it still does. But the problem is that a lot of things you Google are not complete. So this is updated for season 3, right? But it doesn't have Leroy, which is the most played character that I face online right now. Now that's obviously a huge problem. And a lot of this knowledge, right? This guide goes back to Tekken Tag 2, which was the previous game, because that's how far back the knowledge goes. How to fight Dragunov is largely the same from game to game. What this means is that people that have been playing longer than you have a massive advantage. Like, it almost feels right. It's not accurate, actually like this, but it really feels like it's almost unfair how hard this game rewards playing different games. If you didn't play Tekken Tag 2, well, too bad. If you didn't play Tekken 6, too bad. You're gonna have to learn all of these things that everyone else already knows as a fact, and you're gonna actually have to learn how to play your own character well if you want to be great at this game. Isn't this the case for any competitive game? No. Most games do reward legacy in some way, but many games do not reward legacy skill as hard as Tekken. It's huge in Tekken. Smash is similar in that aspect. Depends on how you see it. I would say that in Melee, legacy basically does not exist. Very little transfer over from Smash 64, obviously. The game is also constantly changing, so like you can catch up in Melee pretty quickly because there's a lot of new things that fight the legacy. Net play, guides, you know, you can learn the game in a newer way. Of course that exists for Tekken too, but Melee and other Smash games don't have as many characters. Now, I will say that legacy skill is absolutely a thing when it comes to Smash 4 and Ultimate and Brawl. Brawl into Smash 4 into Ultimate, a lot of things transferred. It's why really only me and a few Melee players that can even compete against the top Smash 4 players, because the game is largely the same. And again, legacy skill is even heftier when it's so knowledge based, right? Tekken has, relative to other even Smash games, fewer rule changes from game to game. They have a couple new moves, they have a couple new things, a couple new stages, but largely the fundamental gameplay remains very similar. Even in Smash 4 to Ultimate, which is not a big jump, everything changed. Like the movement, the combo system, the DI, the Smash DI, all the stages that you play on neutral, everything changed, right? Like the top tiers changed. You know, the Mishimas have been good in almost every game, I'm pretty sure. That's my biggest complaint, right? The game is very, and I can understand this, hard for newcomers. Some people love this, okay? And maybe in a different reality where it had a better offline scene, I would also like not mind this as much. But I don't like having that many different things to learn. Just to get into the game, part of the game that I actually enjoy. So what I actually enjoy is when both people know you can sidestep this one right, you can, this one track sidestep, this one hits mid, you know, it hits crouches but it's safe. I like when the mind games, when it becomes about the player versus the player. Again, this is subjective, but I don't really like when he doesn't know that I have this grab and then I hit him with it. Now, a lot of mid-level players love cheese like that. To me, it's not, you know, my favorite thing. And it doesn't really feel like I can play an honest, actual, real game of Tekken like the top players do, where both people know everything, until about like 5-10 matches in. And here's the problem. When you play online, it's about ranked, right? So people, they play 3 games, they win all of them because you don't know how to beat their strings. You don't know when the string goes high, when the string goes low, when the string goes mid, what the frame advantage is. And once you learn that, you start getting closer, they leave, right? To get the maximum amount of points. So the problem is essentially that on the line, the game is not very enjoyable to play for me. Now, a lot of people say, well, Leffen, why don't you play the game offline? So I actually said this earlier that, man, I know there was a local tournament that had like 80 entrants. I know there's some good players in Stockholm. I even know some of them. So there's bound to be locals, right? Nope. A lot of people that like Tekken are in their late 20s, their 30s. You know, they've been playing Tekken, they have it as a hobby. A lot of them are fucking good, but very few people seem to take the game super seriously, like grind out sessions all the time. And those that do generally do private sessions with other good Tekken players. At our local that has a lot of fighting games, there's like from 0 to 3 people playing Tekken. And one of them is Psych, who I already know from Smash, right? And there's only ever actual locals, you know, where a lot of people come every month. So for someone trying to pick up the game, how am I supposed to pick up the game when I can only play the game offline every month, right? The answer is always so sad, it's online. Online is hell in Tekken. While it does have an okay relative to Ultimate and SF5 netcode, I would say the netcode is not terrible, it's simply bad. You know, it's not rollback. You play on PC, slightly less lag. Now the problem is that Tekken feels like a game, at least from my experience, that is very reliant on whiff punishing, on reacting. There's a lot of moves that, for example, this move is a low, like a snake edge. It will dodge everything. It will give a full fucking combo. What's the weakness? How is this move not completely broken? Well, if you're good at recognizing the move, you can react to it. Online though, you can't. So the move is just kind of busted online. Similarly, when you sidestep through moves, and then you do an attack to punish something, your hurt box is enlarged as you do it, right? The problem is essentially with that is that if someone does a string and you sidestep it, you don't know if you get the punish right away. You need to watch what string is he doing. Does it have a second part? Is he gonna do jab jab 2? Which tracks? What this means is that sidestep and then reacting is basically a very, very fundamental thing in Tekken. And with punishing, backdashing, and then standing at this range, he did something, and then do a button. And here's the second part about the online. What's wrong with this? Well, it says 4-bar, disconnection rate 2, English, but it's showing Asia as the region. Why does it think, as a person from Sweden, why does it think that I have a 4 out of 5 bar connection with someone from Asia? Now, this will also give me people from, like, I've had people from Australia. I've had people from the US. Basically, the game lies. The game like makes a very shitty estimation what it thinks our ping will be, and then once you actually load into the match, you actually get to experience it. You can't track at all really what country someone is from. Sometimes they'll have it set to a different one, and sometimes they'll just have a different language. Expecting to get good matches, you're not gonna get it from the official one, right? So let me just take you through, like, I'll play this guy. I'm not gonna play good, but let's just try and see how it is, right? How my process is when playing someone. Oh, it's a Kazumi. This is actually the first time I'm playing Kazumi. So now I'm gonna go look up, what way do I sidestep? I sidestep right. Well, I know most of the frame data now, but you need to basically Google as soon as possible, how do you beat this character every single time if you want to perform well.
Round 1. Fight.
Oh. Yeah, as you see, the connection's already gone on to a 4 out of 5. Uh-oh. I'm getting my shit slammed. Fuck, dude.
Round 2.
Playing ranked on stream, not a good idea. Counter hit. Does he know how to break his own throw? No. This guy is doing a lot of weird ass gimmicks.
Round 3. Fight.
What? Oh, that's not punishable? Oh, he did that move, which is long punishable. Man, this guy plays so different from me. Alright, rage strike, punish. YOLO! Fuck.
Round 4. Fight.
Yeah. I'm getting so triggered. I should not be playing this on stream, man. I really should not. I'm like completely forgetting how to step too.
Final round. Fight.
Oh god. Oops. Ah, that was a terrible punish. Fuck. I didn't lose the mirror match.
You win.
But yeah, basically, what you need to know whenever you're playing someone is what kind, like at least on my. Okay, this is such a perfect fucking example of Tekken Online. Hype match, close, same character, you lost. Run. That's the Tekken experience if you want to play online. It's gonna take time. Exactly. I don't have fun because I have to spend more time. That's basically what everyone's saying to me. Some people say you should have obviously known this, but anyone that's actually decent know that Tekken has a lot of weird exceptions, a lot of weird rules, and sometimes a mid gets patched to a high or reverse. Sometimes a move looks like it's plus, but it's minus, and sometimes it looks like it's minus, but it's plus. And some people say you're just being overwhelmed. Exactly. You're placing more importance on learning these type of things than necessary. Well, how do you think so? Because I tried to whiff punish, and well, the string had another part, so I got launched instead. I tried to punish something, but I got no damage instead of launch punish because I didn't know how to duck. That's basically almost a half round of damage in just knowing that one move could be duckable. Someone did a snake edge, and I didn't know that character had one, and now I lost an entire round on that. Is that fun? Maybe to you. Maybe I don't need to focus on it, but I want to. I want a game where I can reasonably expect to learn most things. You know, it's just not for me, man. A lot of people act as if you just need to accept it. But the thing is, I don't. Maybe some of you guys have been playing Tekken so long that you think it's your identity to play Tekken and to be a Tekken player. And that when I say Tekken is not for me, you think that I'm insulting you specifically. No, I don't have to learn any of these things. I can play another game. There's a lot of fighting games that are good right now, and yeah, I just don't feel the need to learn a game that doesn't bother putting up a tutorial in it. You know, I don't feel the need to learn a game that can't give a mission mode, or it can't tell me how to tech throws in game. You have to Google it. I don't want to compete in a fighting game where they play best of 3 all the way up until winter finals, where they let Leroy, Akuma, and Geese rock for a full season, and then did they balance patch right before Tekken World Tournament? Is that true? I think I heard someone say that. Yes, that's sad. Akuma nerf. Well, he was the best character, so it's a big fucking deal. There's a lot of things I don't agree with in Tekken, but I want to state this very, very clearly, okay? Tekken is a good game. If you love Tekken, I'm really fucking happy because you are in luck. You have a great Tekken game on your hands, and chances are that you're already playing this game, right? I didn't need to tell you shit. Now, would I recommend this to a new player? For me, it's very hard. You will have to enjoy the type of learning that Tekken offers. Tekken learning is basically, you're gonna have to get hit by a lot of shit. You can focus on the fundamentals and you will definitely improve, and I have improved as well, but you're gonna have to accept that you're gonna get hit by gimmicks, you're gonna get hit by unblockables, you're gonna lose 100% of your life to one king throw, you're gonna get hit by Yoshimitsu's everything. That's just how it is. And the game doesn't make any apologies for what it is, which is completely fine. It's just not for me, man. And I don't think it's for a lot of people. But here's the thing I want to say to the Tekken community. You're awesome, keep doing what you do. But if someone has gripes with the game, you cannot take it so defensively. It's completely fine that they don't like that every character has 80 moves. It's completely fine that they want a tutorial. It's completely fine that they don't like the online. Would I recommend to this game to buy it? If you want to buy it for PS4, right? Like how much is it? Like on a regular day, not on the sale. 50? Yeah, for $50 for PS4, I would not recommend it to buy it right away. What I would do is, since Tekken is a game where if you're into it, you might just fucking love it. Like you might play Tekken until the day you die. What I would do is look up your local Tekken scene, right? Through Facebook, through Twitter, through Reddit, because offline is where you will have the most fun playing Tekken, and it's where you will learn the most, because you're gonna have to find a supportive scene if you want to get good and enjoy this game, most likely, or at least, you know, find a friend. Maybe split the game, you know, the cost of the game, so it's a bit less intimidating. Try and see if you like it. If you go to your offline scene and they brush you off like, whoa, you haven't even tried the game before, well, then you know that that scene is not nice to new people, and there's really no point in trying to play the game anyway. Discord. Oh, so yeah, if you're into learning the game, joining Discords definitely helps. I still would not recommend playing this game to mostly play online, even if you play through Discords. The netcode is not very good, but doing player matches and long sets versus people definitely helps iron out some of the flaws, I would say. That said, I've really enjoyed my week of Tekken. Trying out a new game is cool. I don't think I enjoy the game as much as I just enjoy improving. Let's go through some of the subjective, you know, stupid shit. Like customization, you can customize your character. We made Fox. Yes, it is much better than Ultimate's netcode, but it's still very bad. We made Fox. She has a shine, a scouter. In general, the customization is pretty lackluster. You have to play a mode that no one likes to play to get a lot of the unlockables. But it is there. Again, the game does not tell you a lot of things, and the game does also not do a lot of things. Now, what I will say is one of my main gripes when it comes to like artificial stuff, like on the surface, Tekken has some fucking godlike soundtracks in its catalog, right? But this game is extremely, and I mean extremely, hit or miss on its soundtrack. Some songs are outright fucking awful, and I will play you one now. And the one earlier, Infinite Azure, is fucking amazing. Just listen, man. But yeah, there are some mods that apparently let you change this stuff, so that's good. And lets you customize your characters a bit more. One gripe I do have is that you can use custom skins in ranked, and you can have taunt items such as gun. And I've legitimately lost matches with someone picking up a fucking gun and shooting me. Listen to this song, dude. Sounds like a robot has a whole fucking squad of robots has diarrhea at the same time. Yeah, you can have a shower head on your head as you play ranked. There's a lot of really stupid things going on in ranked. So again, I would really recommend playing this game offline. I would definitely recommend watching some YouTube videos. I'll try to link it in the description, but there's the way I learned the game was through watching mostly YouTube videos before I started playing. I didn't play a single match until like day 3. There's a playlist called Learning Tekken the Right Way or something. A lot of it's outdated, which is really sad. All the tutorials aren't amazing. They don't explain everything, but they explain a hell of a lot more than the base game does. Alright, I can't fucking take more of this. Not a big fan of the character design. This is very, 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 very subjective. I don't like how most of the characters fucking look like they're from 2004. Some people love the character design. Some people claim it's classic. I have very few characters in this game that I think are visually appealing. This is very, very subjective. They're supposed to be a bit more down to earth compared to regular fighting games. You know, the styles are based on martial arts instead of like this guy is a fire guy and this guy is an ice guy. But then there's also like, this is a literal vampire. You know, this is a literal robot. Negan from The Walking Dead is here. You know, it's kind of, the roster is a really weird situation. I'm not sure if I like that they have the new characters. I think I do, but it also makes the average characters kind of look really meh in comparison. And a lot of like the girls suffer like major same face syndrome. But yeah, some character designs are really cool. Like I like Safina, I like Kazumi, but I don't really know where the fuck she gets the tiger from. It's kind of random. Akuma's here. Akuma's kind of badly designed in this game though, from what I've played against. And I like him in other games. Overall, it's just not for everyone, man. I really don't think this game is for a lot of people. If you see Tekken, I think you can kind of know if it's, you know, for you. Just keep in mind that if you watch tournaments, the gameplay you see at tournaments is not how it's going to be. Like, the game is not very cheese-based in top level, but it's cheese all the way through low to mid to even low high level. Whereas in some games, you can start playing the same game, like the proper game earlier. Is it hard? I think it's rough to pick up rather than really hard. I promise you don't need to know all that stuff to start playing the proper game. I mean, I can kind of feel like I do play the proper game, but I also feel like this game takes longer to get to the good part than any other fighting game that's out right now. Maybe I'm wrong, but I watched this tutorial earlier. Let's take Speedkicks up, right? So the first thing you learn with any character is punishment.
Like, you get the easy stuff out of the way. Punishes and combos first. 10 frames. She has 1, 2, 2.
So you learn the 10 frame punish.
Has frame advantage and, you know, leaves them standing. And she also has 1, 1, 2, which is probably what you'll end up doing more because of the knockdown and the fact that you can like confirm it really easily. Doesn't wall split.
This is a good tutorial, by the way. I 100% agree with the way he's going.
1+2, which has had its damage toned down in season 2, but it's still dope. It has like really deceptive range. So it
like basically what he does through here is he goes through frame by frame which punish you have on each specific option, from crouching, from standing, from which range. And for me, if you go through Leffen Young Link or something like that, right? When you learn a Smash character or a regular fighting game character, the first thing you do is you show off the moves and like what makes this character this, not what frame of move do you use to punish this thing with. And I feel like that's the type of thing that makes Tekken very, very hard in the beginning. Am I saying that there's only one way to learn Tekken? Absolutely not, right? Absolutely fucking not. Some people might enjoy, you know, learning frame data, specific combos, stuff like that. To me, it's just not what I'm in, you know, what I'm looking for. I don't really feel like I'm playing the game. I don't really feel like it's fun to lose to things you just didn't know. I don't really think it makes it deeper just because it has more moves. But some people love that part, and I'm really happy for those people. But yeah, overall, can I recommend this game? If you're watching this and you think it looks fun, fuck it. You know, fuck what I'm saying. Give it a try, right? But can I recommend someone dropping $50 to be miserable for 2 months and then liking the game? No. I think there's plenty of fighting games that you can have fun within the far earlier, even if most fighting games are hard to pick up. Of course, dude, I know I can backdash more stuff, but you can't get around the fact that a lot of strings are pure cheese. Oh yeah, on sale I heavily recommend it. Right now there's a sale, but I don't know. So this teaches you how to avoid cheesy strings. Alright, so okay, string cheese. I haven't seen any other documents, so I decided to make one encountering typical low-level strings that new players often get blown up. It's a current work in progress. Shout out to Fair. If you have any questions, right? So okay, so how many pages does this have? 1, okay, you know, that's a Kuma. That's a lot of those. Oh, it has 83 pages of low-level strings. And it doesn't even cover, you know, like what if my character has a slow launch? You don't need all that? Well, you don't. You need more than this. If you want to be a top-level player, you need to know way more than just the low-level strings, man. So if you enjoy reading this type of things, I think this one is great because it actually has Giphy cats. That's actually one of the main problems I have with learning things, that a lot of them say the move inputs, which mean nothing to me. DF1-2 with Elisa, I don't fucking know what that is, but I do know, you know, I can see it now and then learn to recognize it. But yeah, you know, if you like this part, Tekken is for you, because there is so much, so many specific things. I genuinely really like the core gameplay of Tekken though. I don't love it, but I do really like it. Right? I really like the movement. I like the mix-up game. My main breaking points are essentially my local scene isn't strong. The game rewards legacy skill too much for my liking, so it would take a long time for me to become tournament threat, which is not, you know, a problem really if I like the game more, because then it would be worth the time. 2, the online is too bad for me to feel like I'm having fun in most of the matches, and as I keep going higher rank, there would be fewer and fewer players, which means that the connection will get on average worse and worse. UC is different from the Tekken you play, isn't it because we know all these strings? Well, I do think knowledge is a massive thing. Whiff punishing, block punishing are absolutely essential. Blocking offense, blocking defense, that's what, you know, makes so much about the game. And if you don't know that Safina has a high and a low, and if it's punishable, if it's not punishable, you can't play the game properly against her. You can play the game, but it's not going to be proper. Yeah, and if all you want to do is play the game, fuck man, play it. And the problem is, again, that like, because the legacy knowledge is so big, it feels like everyone will just accept and be really toxic. I mean, that's my experience in Twitch chat. People are extremely toxic when you don't know a specific thing, or you get hit by some mix-up. But again, just my opinion. I've asked a lot of different people too that are also starting out with the game, Psych, Helix, and sadly, a lot of them have expressed similar problems, that they don't like how much new things, you know, not that there's too much things, but that the game doesn't properly teach you almost anything, and that there's too much legacy stuff. Lol, that's because you don't want to learn on your own. It's so hard to try to argue with people when the only thing they can say is you just bad because mad. Tekken isn't an easy game to jump into and quickly catch up to what's optimal play. I think it's one of the hardest games to pick up. Not because it's the hardest, necessarily. Even if it was the hardest, that's not why it's hard. Yeah, of course people are going to try to get me mad. Because, again, there's a lot of people that have been playing Tekken so long. They play it through their childhood. They've been playing Tekken. They're in their 30s now, living it in their mom's basement. And the only thing they have keeping their ego together is that they're above mid-level, barely at Tekken, right? These people are going to be fucking pissed off if you think that the game is not literally perfect, right? That's their identity you're insulting. But I also think there's a lot of reasonable people that can see that, you know, I love Tekken, but it's not for everyone. And I honestly think that if you think Tekken is for everyone and easy to pick up and not like the hardest fighter to pick up of this generation, I think you're honestly delusional. Because I can't think of a single fighting game that's even close to as hard to pick up as Tekken. KOF 13 is pretty hard. That's not the current generation. And KOF 13 is not hard to pick up than Tekken. I've, like, a lot of people will be like, Leffen, but you're just a smasher. You're used to having 10 moves. And like, I know a lot of people say that, but just for clarity, right? Like, I played Third Strike. I was kind of shit at Third Strike. I played SF4 enough to get Capcom Pro Tour points without having an actual main. I was one of the best in Sweden in KOF 13. I was the second best in Marvel 3. I was top ranked in both PS4 and PC in Marvel Infinite when that came out. SF5, I was the highest ranked player in Sweden when it came out. I was, obviously like top 10, top 20 level in Dragon Ball, living in a shit region, top in Smash. Am I forgetting some fighting? I probably am, but yeah, it's not just Smash players having a hard time, right? It's a hard game to pick up, even compared to all of those other fighting games. I played Eunice and stuff like that. No, I don't think Tekken is... I don't think you should drop Tekken because it's too hard. I think the combination of hard and teaching you nothing can be very, you know, displeasing to play through. So yeah, I'll probably learn Safina at some point. I can definitely backdash and like get better at movement. For me, it's just like, it's just not fun, man. I have fun with most fighting games. I'm gonna be honest, when I played ranked Tekken, that shit makes me more infuriated than even fucking Elite Smash. And that's a fucking accomplishment, okay? That's a motherfucking accomplishment. I spent a full fucking year hating on Elite Smash, and now I want back because it feels more fun to play. People care less about GSP than they care about rank points. So it's a little bit less toxic. To be clear, I think Ultimate, netcode, and online systems are way worse on Tekken's. But I have access to an offline community scene when it comes to Ultimate, which I do not with Tekken. And even though I think Ultimate has a fuck ton of cheese too, at this point I'm 1 year in, so that cheese isn't as annoying for me. I've learned to deal with a lot of the cheese. Is that a good argument for someone else to pick up Ultimate? Hell no. This is a purely selfish perspective. If I spent 1 year in Tekken, I would enjoy it more than I would enjoy Ultimate. But I would be extremely excited if Tekken 8 came out and did some major changes. Now, some people don't want the major changes, and I don't necessarily expect them there to be. I like the core of Tekken. I just don't like the bloating, the online. You know,